Hello and welcome to Smash Hit Sports. Today we are going to do the win total wheel, giving our over and under predictions on every team on this wheel at some point or another. But I have my good friend Harrison Vapnek. Harrison, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you back.
Thanks. We've done this a couple of times. I think the second straight year we're doing this over under wheel. Always a joy to talk college football with you. I think you're one of the biggest ball knowers I know. So I'm excited. The season's a little over a month away. Pretty hyped for that.
Hey, we know ball over here. After the 4th of July, it just kind of starts getting into your bones a little bit. You can feel the college football, like a leaf or two starts falling. It's great stuff. But let's go ahead and get into this wheel. First spin of the wheel. Let's see what we get.
I can't see it. Oh, now it's spinning. Oh, I hope it lands on Washington.
Washington, 9 wins. I'm infatuated with the Pac-12 as a whole. Washington is going to be an incredibly interesting team.
This is a very good one out of the gate because I know we have differences on this team already.
Okay, so I like Washington. 9 is a lot of wins. They play a brutal Pac-12 schedule. I actually think they probably end up 9-3. Their schedule is just it's difficult. I mean, there's no way around it. That being said, they have Michael Penix. So what are your thoughts on Washington while I pull up their schedule here?
I am not a fan. I'm pretty anti-Washington, about as anti-Washington as it gets. I thought they were extremely overrated last year. I thought they really avoided all of the good teams in the Pac-12 because last year was a weird year where it was the first year they did no divisions for the championship, but you still play your division schedule, and ironically Washington couldn't even make the Pac-12 championship. The Pac-12 North was historically bad last year. Now it's a much more difficult. You have it pulled up there. It's like they should start 5-0. I think that game at Michigan State could be tricky, but they'll probably start 5-0. Then you got Oregon, the USC game, Utah back-to-back, also that road game at Oregon State. I think they'll probably lose all of those games. I project Washington at 8-4. You said something in one of your videos about you think Michael Penix is one of the best quarterbacks in college football, which yes. I vastly disagree with. I think he's going to be more of a liability than what he was last season. I think there's some drop-off coming. I don't think it can be as good as he was last year. I know you're going to disagree with that.
Yeah, he led the country in passing last year. I feel pretty good about his prospects as a college quarterback. I don't love him as a pro talent. But I do think he's going to be good at the college level. They do have a brutal schedule. That at USC game is going to be tough, followed by Utah. That back-to-back games against what should be an improved USC defense. We'll see. And then I'm not going to sleep on Oregon State either. DJ Uiagalelei coming over there can really make that team, and they fed off of turnovers last season. So if Oregon State's defense can continue to be a weapon for them, it's going to be a tough path. With the total at 9, this is going to be the biggest cop-out chicken shit answer of all time. I'm going to say that it pushes at 9. I think they win one of those games just because the Pac-12 typically cannibalizes itself late in the year. If they win against Utah at home, or if they win against Oregon early in October, that wouldn't shock me. I think 9-3 is probably about right for this Washington.
If you had to take a side, what would you take?
If I had to take a side, I would lean over, just because I am high on Michael Penix.
Do you think there's a path for a Washington Pac-12 championship in there? We know what Penix is capable of at his peak. They have probably the second best wide receiver in the country with Rome Odunze and Jalen McMillan. The defense, I'm not sure how great they're going to be. The thing with Washington, so they were 10-2 last year. They lost to UCLA and I forget the other loss. Because they beat Oregon on the road. It was a Pac-12 South team. It may have been Arizona, honestly. Because I know Arizona upset UCLA. There's a lot of things you could get when you type in Washington 2020.
Yeah.
Who was their other loss? Because they won the Apple Cup against Wazoo.
Yeah, they beat
Washington State. It was Arizona State. Okay.
They lost the game they definitely should have against them. Yep.
And Penix didn't play bad. I don't think there was a single really bad Penix game in there. But how much better is he going to be? Like, he led the country in passing yards last year, 4,600 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 31 touchdowns, something like that.
Yep.
Even if he he would have to replicate that for them to get back to 10-2, I feel like. So I think there's going to be some kind of decline coming because I'm not sure how good the defense is.
I agree. My biggest concern with Washington as a team is their ability to get to the quarterback. I don't know if they have a pass rusher on that team. They got a decent secondary. They've recruited well at the corner and safety position for it seems like the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
But they don't have a pass rusher. And in a league that has Bo Nix and Caleb Williams and Cam Rising, if you're not going to get pressure on those guys, you're going to have some problems. So
DeBoer's a great coach, though.
Oh,
I just don't know. I think this team is just being a little overrated. I don't think they should be in the top 15 preseason. I think those expectations are a little too high. They're an 8-4, 9-3 team. I would not be shocked if they went 9-3. I'm just gonna lean under because I guess I can be a Michael Penix Washington hater, but that's just the deal.
Hey, it is what it is. We'll let the wheel decide. Arkansas is. I don't understand the media circus, or at least the internet media circus that I've seen around KJ Jefferson. And I want you, Harrison, to call me an idiot. I have seen people say he is the best returning quarterback in the SEC. I could not disagree with that more. There were games where he couldn't throw the ball.
What is that based off of? I've seen it also. I saw someone post, I think it was on Three's rankings.
Yep.
Where they had KJ Jefferson as the best returning quarterback in the SEC. Some schedule stuff on there. I have him closer to 4 or 5. He's not a great thrower. He is an incredible runner, but throwing the ball I don't trust as much.
Yeah, and it's weird.
I don't understand where this came from. So that's the schedule you have for them?
Yes. So this is the schedule, and this is what my picks. I have LSU, Texas A&M. I have Mississippi State beating them because I like Will Rogers. I like Zach Arnett. I think that defense is going to be really good. I have Florida beating them just because Florida's got to win one SEC game. But
hypothetically.
I'm not in love with Sam Pittman. I don't think there's anything about his coaching or coaching style that's impressive. If I remember correctly, they did lose Barry Odom, their defensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's the head coach at UNLV now.
Yep.
And they lost Riles. They have a new offensive coordinator.
Yep. So I think that is a big loss. They lost. Continuity in coaching is something that, obviously Alabama fights with it every year, but, that's not something Arkansas deals with every year. Losing your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, I think, matters. I have them going 6-6. I'm going to take the under at 7. I just don't – they have a pretty difficult path in an SEC West that they're not going to be as bad. There's no way the SEC West is going to be as bad as they were last year. It's just not possible.
No, and I agree with you on that because I think Texas A&M has improved. I think Auburn's improved. I still like Ole Miss a lot. We'll see about Mississippi State. I'm a little pessimistic about them for obvious Mike Leach circumstances. Rest in peace. I lean under on Arkansas as well. I agree with you. They're going to win their first 3 pretty light non-con. They beat BYU last year. Probably lose to LSU. I think that Texas A&M game can go either way. I probably lean A&M there. I'll go under. 6-6 seems about right. People forget how hard it is to play at Florida. So I think that's a good point, giving Florida that win.
The only reason I struggle with that is it's after the bye.
Who's your favorite Arkansas receiver? So a lot of these guys I haven't heard much from. Isaiah Satango, he was there last year. I don't remember him doing too much. Andrew Armstrong was a transfer from Texas A&M Commerce. And then it's Isaac Tasella. He's from Hillsdale College. So they went to the the JUCO level to get some of these receivers. Raheem Rocket Sanders is still one of the best running backs in the SEC. Also another tight end transfer from North Texas. Verkeys. I haven't heard much from him. The offensive line is returning guys. They have a bunch of seniors in that group.
I think they're going to be able to run the hell out of the football.
That's what their identity has been under Pittman. It's they're going to just feed Sanders and run so much zone read and RPOs with him and Jefferson. But I just don't know where this came from that Jefferson was this top 10 quarterback in the conference. Or no, he's obviously a top 10 quarterback in the conference. I meant top 10 quarterback or the best quarterback in the SEC. It's just it's not there. He's wildly inaccurate at times. Like,
Yep.
he has a good deep ball, but, like, the consistency is just not there with him. And, like, this is one of the things we, like, try talking ourselves into during the offseason. But then when it actually comes to the field and you see, like, he had some bad games last year. And the Texas A&M
Yep.
one is the one that comes to mind for me. It was just a lot up and down from him. And, you know, this probably his last year at Arkansas, I feel like. It's not enough to win more than 7. I don't know. If you're taking over 7 here, it's very, very confounding, I should say.
Yeah, you got to feel pretty good about KJ Jefferson as a quarterback, and I am not in that boat. So we're on the same side there. We'll go back to the wheel, see if we can get a little more northern team. Ooh.
Oh, you're so
this.
This is a very.
You want to talk about a team like 6-6 Oklahoma is one of those where like they looked terrible at times, but they also lost some games that were like close, fluky, weird.
They were
9.5 is a lot of wins.
Oklahoma last year was like Bizarro World TCU. Like they lost all the games that TCU won. Like, I'm not saying Oklahoma like could have made the College World Playoff last year, but I think like if you like flip a couple of those results, like that's like a 10-win season. And I was at their bowl game against Florida State. I thought Gabriel played so well in that game. That's just a different story of Florida State's defense just being heavily overrated. But there was some, they lost that game, like another close game. They led by 18 by 1 point that they blew. But I kind of like what they have. Again, last year was like Bizarro TC. Like, I want to hear your thoughts before I decide because I'm very split.
I think
this is the team I want to pick Oklahoma to win the Big 12 this year. Let me just say
because they don't have the last several years they had Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray and Spencer Rattler / Caleb Williams. And then last year they didn't. And obviously, you know, Lincoln Riley leaving has a big impact on that. But at the same time, Dylan Gabriel was good when he was healthy. The problem is that he got hurt at the end of last year. They were running the Wildcat against Texas because they had no faith in their quarterbacks whatsoever. And that's just not Oklahoma's ball game. They limped out the end of the year, and then, you know, the bowl game against Florida State. But I think with a healthy Dylan Gabriel, like this is a team that still has talent on the roster. Obviously when you're Heisman, you know, who wins a Heisman at USC, quarterback leaves, like that's, you know, people be, they don't. Oklahoma still has a talent. They still have a top 20 roster. They still have a lot of blue chip talent.
I like Venables too. I think Venables got unfair. It was like I thought it was going to take multiple years to reverse Lincoln Riley leaving and all the players they lost in the portal. Like that wasn't going to be a 1-year fix. And I think as we enter year 2, it's gonna, on paper, it's gonna look cleaner. And looking into the schedule a little bit more, they play. The non-con is Arkansas State, SMU, and Tulsa. They'll go 3-0. They play 5 Big 12 road games, but like I don't think you could have gotten an easier draw on the road. Well, technically Texas is neutral site, so here are their road. The 4 true road games in the Big 12: Cincinnati, Kansas, Oklahoma State, and BYU. That could certainly be a lot worse, and you have the schedule pulled up right there also.
Yeah, playing 2 of the newcomers.
You draw UCF too.
Yeah,
you have 3 of them. UCF, they play Cincinnati, and BYU.
Yeah, and
you play KU on the road.
I'm excited for UCF, the UCF Oklahoma game, just because Dylan Gabriel transferred from UCF.
Yeah.
Like I think that'll be a cool environment. But
TCU at home.
Like they play a lot of the teams that we have feelings about these teams. And they play a lot of teams that I don't feel good about. I don't feel good about Scott Satterfield in Cincinnati. I don't feel great about Iowa State. I don't feel good about...
I hate Iowa State this season. I think they're the worst team in the conference next to Kansas.
West Virginia. West Virginia is going to stink. A little different
story there.
So
but I'm going over.
Down on TCU?
I'm very down on TCU.
So I have them at 10 wins. I have them at 10 wins. I think they lose to Texas, and I think they lose one other, bit like at Oklahoma State's kind of tough. Like that's a tough environment in Stillwater.
I'd put Oklahoma State as one of the losses. I'd probably say like Texas and Oklahoma State's fair. I also can very much see them beating Texas.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to forget a 49-0 butt kicking last year.
No, they will
got
not.
absolutely embarrassed. Like, I think that's a little bit of a revenge spot for OU when that game happens. This could be a playoff dark horse. I really am. I'm really high on Oklahoma this year.
Yep, I think
In terms
9.5
of
is a.
like Angelo Anthony, they got from Michigan. He's the speedster. I think that was one of their best signings. They improved the offensive line. This guy Walter Roast, I think he's gonna be their new left tackle. He was Stanford's best offensive lineman last year. You need to watch out for Javonte Barnes, the running back. He was one of the guys in the Wildcat. He was playing last year against Texas. He's quick. He's gonna be one of the best running backs Oklahoma's had, probably since Ramondre Stevenson with the draft. I think this guy is gonna be really good. One of my favorite. I was looking through my Big 12 running back rankings because that's just how much of a college football junkie I am. He's up there. Also, Stogner, who was there a couple years ago, went to South Carolina and just went back to OU. They're gonna be very good offensively and defensively. I think Venables in year 2 gets them into shape. But this is a team that I'm really high on next year.
Yeah, I like the 9.5. I feel pretty good about that. Give me the over, and Big 12. It's chaos, man. Every year. We got this. Let's keep in the Big 12. TCU. If you did not read Harrison's or did not get a hold of Harrison's college manifesto last year, it was a work of art, and he tends to fade teams that absolutely overperformed the year before. However, I think 7.5 might be a decent line for TCU. Where do you feel with this Sonny Dykes squad?
I have already taken the under 7.5. I took under 7.5 when it first came out. What is every quarterback they play going to get hurt again? Is that going to happen? It happened like 5 games last year. It was insane.
Yeah, it was insane.
Like how much luck this team had more luck last season than any college football team I think I can ever remember. And
2007 was a little crazy, but I don't hate that.
No team was lucky that year. This was TCU was pulling games that I've never seen before. Like the
end of the Baylor game.
I have no idea how they won that Baylor. Like people turn to the field goal. Baylor was up 2 touchdowns the entire that game. Like Texas, they couldn't move the ball against Texas. They had one drive, and Texas had a really bad fumble of a touchdown. Like the game against Oklahoma State also was super early in the year that people forget. Like that's another one. Kansas State was another one.
Yep.
Texas Tech was playing. I'm just looking at their schedule from last year. Then they finally lost to Kansas State. I was so convinced that Michigan was going to crush them, and I was wrong there because that was the best game they played all year was the Michigan game.
Yeah.
But yes, I am this is a regression to the. I'm looking at my notes. Regression to the mean was the only thing I wrote down for TCU. It was lightning in a bottle. Chandler Morris. So technically, people he was their week 1 starter last year. You know what the score was that Colorado TCU game at halftime that he was starting? Last year's Colorado, keep in mind. It was 7-6.
That's disgusting. That was my play of the week 1 too. Is I was like TCU I know TCU isn't great, but Colorado is ass. I'm gonna fade Colorado, and I was sweating that bet in the first half. So
yeah, they won by 25 still because Duggan. I think Duggan was still kind of underrated. Duggan did a lot for that team. 2 transfers I took down. Troy Sanders, running back. And then JoJo Earl, they're both from Alabama. But there's no replacing Quentin Johnson. And all the other guys. The defense returned some pieces. I'll give them credit for that. Their corner, Tomlinson, Tomlinson, he's back. He was a Thorpe finalist. He may have honestly won the award last year, now I think about it. He's back. I have at 7-5, maybe 6-6. I don't think Moore is very good. But the biggest thing of all this, no Garrett Riley.
Yeah,
I don't even know who they got.
Thing.
Who's their OC now? It's not a Riley brother. That's all I know.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, they got Kendall
Briles.
So
because I remember they announced that they're just congrats on our new offensive coordinator, and they didn't put his name on the graphic.
Arkansas fans were not a fan of him.
Yeah.
Let me just say that. I think so. They're going to run Arkansas's offense from last year, that slow RPO.
Yeah, I don't love that. And then they lost Keandre Miller too, their running back. Between him and Johnston, they lost
they had a good running
so much offensive production.
Who was their backup running back from last year? DeMarcado. He's back. I think or is he gonna be the backup behind Sanders? He's good.
Yeah. That could be a pretty
they're not going to win all the
split.
toss-up games.
No, and they play
I would consider Houston. Honestly, I'd consider SMU a toss-up game because I like SMU and their coach Rhett Lashie. Like, that game at Iowa State isn't easy.
The back end of their schedule is just brutal.
The only games I'm penciling as wins are Colorado Nichols and probably West Virginia.
Yeah.
I'm 3 wins I'm penciling for this team. I don't know what to expect. If they go 10-2, if they're somehow in Dallas in the Big 12 championship game, I would be more shocked than I was on what they did last year.
Yeah, I'll eat a lot of crow if that's the case.
So you're taking over or under here?
I'm taking the
under.
under.
I talked a lot there.
You're good. You're passionate about the horned frogs. You get horny for those toads. Well, the hypno toad is pretty cool though. Like,
their fans are cool.
The hypno, yeah, good fans. This must they want us to talk about the Big 12.
A lot of Big 12.
So we went off the PFF like top 25 because the AP top 25 is not out yet, and a lot of Big 12 in it, I guess. Texas at 9.5. If Texas wins less than 9.5 games, their fans and myself will consider this season a complete and total disappointment. If you do not win the Big 12 after last season, Oklahoma has not been the Oklahoma of what they've been the last decade. If you don't win 10 games, this season's a complete and total disappointment. Am I wrong?
So does that mean you're taking over?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I think this is an unrealistic expectation for Texas. A team that went 8-4 last year. Don't mind that. I think that if Texas fans are expecting an 11-1 season and a chance to make the college football playoff, I think that's a tad unrealistic.
Yeah, and
I think that the roster is the most talented one Sark has had.
Yeah, Worthy's an incredible wide receiver. Like, he is so fast.
This might be a hot take, but what are your thoughts on Ewers?
So I watched like enough film of him over the last month because I wanted to form an opinion, and all I got was that I couldn't, because everybody's like, oh, he's supposed to be great, and they keep pointing to that Alabama game, and they go, well, if he didn't get hurt, but when he came back, there were games where he just wasn't good. Like, he turned the ball over, like he made poor decisions, and I don't think, like, I'm not shocked that they went out and said, like, hey, Ewers is going to be the starter. It's not going to be, Arch Manning or Malik Murphy, which that picture of Malik Murphy is just, did you see that with all the quarterbacks standing next to each other? Malik Murphy looks closer to Derrick Henry than he does any of the quarterbacks in that room. It's unbelievable. Check what's in that man's food. Holy shit! But
you walked right through my trap there, because I did the same thing. I watched a lot of yours, and I put down my notes on Texas. Tell me your favorite Quinn Ewers game last year that wasn't Oklahoma. What was your favorite Quinn Ewers game?
I don't like. You want to point at the wins, but like, he played well against bad defenses and against defenses that put even a little bit of pressure on him. He didn't do well. Like, he did not do well under pressure.
The biggest kept secret is Quinn Ewers had more bad games than good ones last year. If you kind of if you watch the games and kind of look at the numbers from it, they're like, the TCU game was inexcusable. Because TCU's defense had some bad games last year, and they still somehow won all of them. He was 17 of 39 in that game for 171 yards and a pick. Was also sacked 5 times. The Oklahoma State game, I don't know if that was his first. That was his third game back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that was, he was 19 of 49, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Oklahoma was by far his best game. He also threw a bad pick in that game, but had some nice throws.
Yeah.
Washington, he wasn't good in the bowl game. I don't judge bowl games too much. Wasn't good against Baylor. Against Kansas, he threw for 107 yards. They won that game by a lot. Bijan was nuts that game. But Ewers, outside of the Oklahoma game, didn't have he's picked their defenses apart. I think he might be. I think he. I'm gonna contradict myself a little bit here. But he can still be one of the best quarterbacks in college football while still being one of the most overrated quarterbacks in college football. Both of those things I think are true right now. He has the chance to be one of the most talented quarterbacks in the sport. but he hasn't shown it yet. And
What are your thoughts on his odds being like plus 1,200-ish, plus 1,200, plus 1,100 in some books to win the Heisman?
Him being the third Heisman odds favorite now is an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah,
Like, there's nothing to show for that except for the talent we know he has that he shows in flashes, but it's not even as much flashes as someone like Michael Penix, who I'm very critical of, or even like Joe Milton, who also I'm very critical of, or I don't know, like he's just it's hard to see with him. But going through past him, I'm sorry, I know you have another spin coming.
Yeah, you're good.
But I really like the receivers they have around him. Like it's one of the best receiving rooms in the country. Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, who's like college football's version of Big Shot Bob. What's Robert Horry? Like he's all his big plays for Georgia in his 2 years. Nothing in the regular season. Unbelievable plays in every college football playoff game. Jordan Whittington, I think he missed off last year with an injury. Isaiah Naylor is another one. Jatavion Sanders is one of the best tight ends. I don't love their defense, but they also had 6 games last year giving up 20 points or less, which is like pretty good to do in the Big 12. They're just super inconsistent. I don't trust Sark, and I actually despite all of this, I think they can still win 10 games. I'm going to pick them to go 9-3. I think they're going to beat Bama though in week 2. That's just a weird feeling pick. I'm going to pick Texas to win that game. But I would not be surprised if they lost 2 weeks later to BYU, wherever they play. They're just so inconsistent. I don't trust, they're not trustworthy enough for me to pick them to beat every team on their schedule that they're supposed to. Sark has not showed that. He didn't show that at Washington. He didn't show that at USC, but USC was a completely different story with him. And now he certainly hasn't shown it at Texas, considering they were 5-7 the first year and 8-4 last year. So thinking 10 wins for this team is, I think, we can't do it yet.
Yep, I'm not. This one, that's one I probably won't bet, but gun to my head, I'd take the under. I would take the under for sure.
I'm taking under. I'm also not rushing to bet that one.
For the love of God, if we get a Big 12 team, I'm going to skip it.
I think if we're not a Big 12 team, I might jinx it. Oh, please.
Kansas State's still on there, but Clemson. Let's.
You're talking about the three. You go first.
As an ACC fan, I mean, you are a Miami guy. Clemson, 10 wins. If you look at Dabo Swinney's, Clemson's record the last 5 years is unbelievable. They have been great under Dabo. When you're down year, when you're very much down year is, what did they go last year? 2 losses? 2 losses because they lost to...
They went undefeated in the ACC. They lost to Notre Dame, and they lost to South Carolina. And considering it was a down year, if they beat South Carolina, they would have made the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, which it's unbelievable. They still ended the season all right. They were a solid team. Now, here's the thing with Clemson and the ACC as a whole is I think the ACC is a lot more top heavy this year than they have been in the fact that
there's 2 teams.
They have another. They at least. Let's put it this way: they have another team because the last 4 years they haven't. Pitt won the ACC in 2021,
you're right.
And outside of that, it's been weird. 10 games, I think, with Garrett Riley being hired as their OC, which I know you are in love with. Which if you don't follow Harrison on Twitter, you absolutely should.
I sprinkled a little Clemson tweet earlier today.
Bro, those stats, I mean, they paint a great picture. I think 10 wins. I would be shocked if they don't win at least 11. Possibly 12.
I'm picking them to win 12. Clemson is a team this year I'm really riding. This was the stat I pulled up. So Garrett Riley, Clemson's new offensive coordinator, in his first year at SMU with Tanner Mordecai. Tanner Mordecai's stats were 3,628 yards, 39 touchdowns to 12 picks on 68% completion, a 158 passer rating. Max Duggan last year, Heisman finalist at TCU with his first year under Garrett Riley, 3,700 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 picks. Also had a lot of rushing, but I didn't include that. 63.6% completion rating on 159 quarterback rating. Cade Klubnik wasn't pretty last year in his time. He was pretty bad in the Tennessee Bowl game. Pretty good against North Carolina, but when he played against Notre Dame a little, wasn't pretty, and then a couple other games. I think it was Georgia Tech early in the year. It wasn't all great for Cade.
Yeah.
Garrett Riley's going to open up his eyes.
I think he makes a tremendous... He also wasn't he didn't go in the season as a starter. He wasn't getting starter reps in camp. Like it's now his team. And I know people kind of float that around a lot, but like that does make a big difference.
The offense is all around him, and they're going to run that West Coast stuff with Riley, and it's going to be so pretty. And they're going to run the spread stuff, and Will Shipley's going to get involved. I don't love the receivers. I think Antonio Williams is pretty good. Bo Collins is another receiver who's been there for a little bit. Adam Randall is another one. He's a sophomore. I like their tight end Jake Bringstool a lot. He had a nice touchdown against Florida State that I remember last year. So you're projecting 11-1. Where do you have the long? Oh, you haven't lose to Florida State. I could see that happening.
So here's my.
Look, they might have beat Florida State twice.
So
but I go on.
It's really hard to beat a team twice. So what I have Clemson and a lot of their games that they like. Their trap game, they're not going to have a trap game against South Carolina now because they got their ass beat last year. They are going to come out of that game swinging because South Carolina fans have been running their mouths all off season about it, and rightfully so. Same with,
Big Game Boomer's the only person doing that. If anyone actually thinks South Carolina is better than Clemson, they don't know.
I mean, yeah, but if you're in the
Syracuse,
state,
hang on, is that accurate? Everything on the left. Sorry to go completely off topic.
Yes, I have Syracuse at 9-3.
I don't think Syracuse is going to win 5 games.
Well,
they might win 6.
We're a little different. Syracuse isn't in the wheel, Harrison. Piss off. Syracuse isn't in the wheel.
Since like McNabb was the quarterback?
I can't remember.
Wait, Syracuse was in the wheel?
No, they aren't in the wheel.
Okay, I was going to say.
Dude, it's the schedule. It's the schedule. They don't play anyone.
No, you're right. But
that's the problem.
Sorry.
Anyway, back to Clemson.
Back to Clemson. I like Clemson a lot. I haven't decided my ride or die team this year, which is kind of bad because we have a month of the season. It might be Clemson.
Yeah,
I've been so anti-Clemson the last couple of years. Like,
I mean, you were right.
Going back to 2020, I said that outside of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, it was a bad football team, and then I basically guaranteed Ohio State was going to beat them in the semifinal. I was pretty right there. 21, I said they would miss the college football playoff for the first time in however many years. That prediction was confirmed by September because they lost 2 games to Georgia and NC State, and they lost again a couple weeks later to Pitt, I believe. And then last year I said that they didn't improve their team much, and DJU was going to hold them back, and that's actually exactly what happened. I think I had them at 10-2 last year, and that was exactly where they landed. And this year, hopefully I go 4-4 with picking how their season goes. I don't think they were my champion pick in 2019 as well, so I guess that one was technically wrong. Pretty close. But yeah, Clemson, 12-0 season. Garrett Riley, is it a bold prediction to say he's going to go back-to-back Broyles Award? Is that too much?
I don't think it is. I don't think that is.
I'll probably pick him. I think Klubnik's won the Klubnik's my Heisman pick as of now. That's also changed 3 times since June, so don't get your tattoos yet on that. But all the signs and we haven't even mentioned their defense yet, which is a top 5 defense in the country. I can't believe Xavier Thomas is still there. Justin Muscall, all those guys. I love, what's that, the linebacker?
Jeremiah Trotter Jr.?
Yes. And then in the corner, Nate Wiggins, Jalen Phillips, Andrew McCullough, the safety. Their defense is one of the best in the country. The schedule is so easy. That's another part of it. I am so high on this Clemson team. And I think they're going to silence it out because we were talking about this off cam. Everyone loves Florida State. Everyone loves Florida. Florida State is America's darling team this season. And I came very, very close to falling in the trap. I know Travis, you have a bet on him to win the Heisman. But they're America's team, and people want to ignore the flaws with Florida State, but Clemson honestly doesn't have that many flaws. And they corrected the one because it was the offense, and they got the best offensive coordinator in the sport, or one of them. And I think Clemson will stick it to them. That's September 28th, I think, in Death Valley. That's going to be that's going to be a night game. I'm excited for that one. Clemson's my team this year. That's who I'm riding to the end.
Yeah,
I really want to pick them to win the national championship too. I just have to get around and think they're going to beat Georgia. And they play Georgia week 1 next year too.
Oh, that would be incredible for that to be a national championship matchup, and then for that matchup to happen again the first week of the following season. I have Florida State beating them in the regular season, but I have Clemson winning in the conference championship. I don't think you beat this Clemson team twice, and I think Florida State just gets a hang of them one time. But the front 7 is so deep with this team. They're going to rotate guys along the defensive line all night long, and they're going to terrorize you all night long. They're going to have an unbelievable season. Harrison, do you want to do one more, or do we make the people come back As we get closer to the season, we'll review this wheel. We got probably I think we spun.
I think it was 5.
How many teams did we spin? We spun 6.
Arkansas, Oklahoma, UT, TCU, Clemson. Yep. 6. Washington. I forgot about them.
Yep.
We can do this closer to the season. We can do something else that's fun. We can do our preseason bold predictions. It doesn't have to be spinning a wheel, but this is fun.
Yeah, here's the deal. Like and subscribe. You will see more of Harrison on this channel. It's going to be a hell of a time.
I have something planned that's going to be this college football pre-show on Fridays. It's like a very quick show, like a 5-minute long little mini. We're going to have guests on every week. I can confirm now that Cody Smash It Sports will be making it at least once this season.
Oh, come on. Does Dolly Parton sleep on her back? You know I'm going to be there. So let's we'll have a good old time.
That was so good.
We appreciate you guys, and we will see you in the next one.
See ya.